flipping. I said, okay, how fast can I read this? The 12 Commandments of Being a Woman. It is really a light read. It's very funny, it's touching, it's open. Many things I think I related to, but it also made me think a lot. I think when I finished reading, that's when it actually had the impact. When I started saying, oh, why did she say that? How did she think? So there were many things that come to my mind. So I'm very excited that today we have with us Tahira Kashyap Khurana to speak with us about her book, The 12 Commandments of Being a Woman. It is outrageously candid and filled with some insane revelations. And like she says, lag gayi. She has redefined for us what is beauty, what is normal, and what is actually okay to say out loud. I think a lot of times we're just sitting in this kind of cocoon. Should I say it? Can I say it? Well, is it okay to say? But I think she said, oh, you know what? You can actually say it. I mean, of course, on a personal note from Bollywood's superstar Shah Rukh Khan, he wrote, this is a wonderful book on so many levels. It's such a gem that it'll make you laugh as much as I did. We all know her. She's a writer, she's a filmmaker, she's based in Mumbai. But I think she was for me an inspiration. She's been the author of 3 books and she's directed 2 acclaimed short films, Pinny and Toffee. And as she likes to say, which I think is very close to my heart, food is always on my mind. So I think we totally agree. You know, you can't get started without the book. So this book club session is very special. It comes in partnerships with the Juggernaut Books. This book will make you laugh. It will cry a little. It will inspire you, move you. It may just become your Bible. But let's get started. And today we have in conversation with Tahira, we've got Meeta. So let's kick it off. I know. And Tahira, please welcome to Sipping Thoughts. We're so excited to have you here.
Yay! Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me over. I'm seeing lovely faces. Few of them, rest of them have muted and not been on
Oh,
video.
yes. Please, let's remind them. Please
So
turn
much.
off your cameras. This is our only
Yeah.
social life.
I know this is a new normal now, and we need to see each other's faces. I want to show off my fringes to you all. You might as well show off your face to me. So, yeah, great. Wow, everybody is coming on. So nice. Thank you so much, guys. I really look forward to this.
Yes, please, cameras on,
Yeah.
big cheers. And I love the fringes. You might motivate
The
us to go
fridges
back.
and the cheeks, it just goes on to say I'm in Punjab. So my love for food, ऐसे हो ही जा रहा है, but it's okay. Winter food, I love winter food. So bring it on.
What is your most
So bring
favorite
it on,
food, Tyra?
Meeta.
Most favorite food?
On the list of foods.
Yeah, it's endless. It's endless. I love sweets. I love Punjabi food. I love food. I love Gujarati food. Staying in Bombay, I have been exposed to a lot of palettes, so I really like all of that. And I have a very big sweet tooth. Like I think all 32 of my teeth, they are sweet. I love sweets. Yeah. So
It
yeah.
reminded me of your chow mein incident, and then I was like, okay, from food to chow mein, and what chow mein night led to.
Oh no!
I'm
Oh
very
no!
scared of Chinese food now.
I know, and we have a little kid also who is joined in here. Is he a product of Chinese food too? Sorry. But yeah, in my house, that's what it led to. So be very careful.
So this book is like you feel it started with the small town story, and then you said, "Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God." Everything was so relatable because somewhere we all have seen this journey if we are from a small town. So you have been crazily honest and brutally honest in your like everything, whatever you have shared there. So what made you kind of go all out and speak about everything with such a humor, making fun of yourself and speaking the real stories in a very simple manner?
Yeah, I'm a very unfiltered person. So abhi tak I was under the wraps. But people who know me, I have a very unfiltered way of going about things. And I think my book is extension of the way I am, the way I function, and the kind of person that I am. And I perhaps a lot of people have liked the book. Hopefully they have. But it has really given palpitations to my family members. They become very careful now. Whenever I enter the living area, they all zip up because they feel कि अच्छा अब हम material देने वाले हैं. So My people at my home are I'm living under the same roof with the people that I mentioned in the book, so that is courageous, I feel. But apart from that, yeah, I that's how I am. And but it's not that I've always been like that, honestly speaking. This was a part of me which was under the wraps for a very long time, because I was always very conscious about what people would think. I was very, very concerned about people's views and opinions. Not that it doesn't matter anymore, it does, but it's not to the extent of affecting my mental health and my happiness. And so when I started shining and blooming, I started having this voice, and now I got it was so liberating to just be able to say what you feel, that I don't want to go back to that person I was, who was always sort of having her own conspiracy theories ki duniya kya sochegi, ye kya sochega. And it's gone now, so I'm happy.
So my another I have a similar background. I came from a small town. We both struggled. We made the company together. So somewhere the journeys are always there are crossroads. There are questions. So from your story, I the same question I've been kind of meaning to ask you. Small town, two people had their own dreams. They decided to get together. They came to a bigger town. He had his own share of success. You had tried different career, different, you expressed about it. Uh, what was the true feeling that time? Basically, because so many stories, in fact, we Indian families, we have a story that we see our husbands being successful and we always feel that we have been left behind. We have not been considered, or we have been busy raising kids, taking other responsibilities. So somewhere we are left behind.
I really feel, yeah, honestly speaking, I've been very blessed enough to have a partner who has been very supportive all throughout. My biggest obstacle was my own my own self. I undermined myself. I didn't believe in myself. Um, like I said, I was always worried about what people would think, what the world would think, and that sort of was very overwhelming for me. So I was my biggest obstacle. So, and I feel that's what is there with each one of us. We are our biggest push when it comes to growing in life, and we can become our biggest obstacle. The idea is to win over our lesser self and know that the kind of potential that we have, it's infinite. And we can tap into that at any point of life. It doesn't mean that if you become 50 or 40, or you're as young as 20 and 18, you can't. That potential is deep within you. You just need to tap. And I think when you have faith, you're able to do that. So, of course, having a supportive partner always helps, but you got to be your biggest partner.
So, what was that deja vu moment when you actually said that the nature has infinite resources and you have to take it from it? Was there any moment that you felt that?
Yeah, the day I was introduced to this lovely philosophy, I chant, I follow Nichiren's Buddhism. And before that, I was very miserable because, like I said, I had my lesser self, which was my own weaknesses, which were really defining me at that point of time. And so when I got introduced to this lovely practice, I was told to dream and have big dreams, and not to feel guilty about them. And in fact, you have your own personal journey, so give it your all, work hard, have faith of one, but a hard work of three is one of also the guidelines. So work really, really hard. And who's stopping you from achieving your dreams? It's never too late. So that and also that one line that I came across, they said that you born to be happy. I was really shocked. It's a very simple statement. Perhaps my kids know how to do that, how, because each day of their life, all the kids, I think they like to live in the present, and so living happily, it comes very easy to them. But as we grow and I don't know what happens to us. Pata nahi what happens to us. We need to fix ourselves. I also don't know what happens, and so I completely forgot that I'm not born to suffer. That I am born to be happy. And what causes am I creating right now? Is it going to lead me to happiness, or is it going to keep me bound in that spiral of negativity? Because if I think negative, I'm going to manifest negative. So to be aware that I have the ability and the capability to turn things around, to be aware that I can manifest all the lovely things in my life, but it really starts from my own thought. that awareness was the turning point for me. So yeah.
Wow, that's a lovely thought. That's a takeaway thought. And one thing that touched me in the book when you said, Ki, what's so heroic in it? It took cancer for me. And you talked a lot about depression and sadness, which is like, again, a question very uh, deep in my heart. Like, I want to talk about it. That we don't know the difference between sadness and depression. And people say, तुम्हारे पास तो सब कुछ है. You have everything. Why are you sulking? Why are you unhappy?
Yeah.
Depression, so they kind of just shrug it off. So I just want to share your journey on it.
So yeah, I was so I don't think it happens overnight. It's a process which takes time. And so I had these negative thoughts, like in the sense I always had reasons to be unhappy, and that kept multiplying to an extent that I reached a point where I started getting anxiety attacks. My heart would palpitate fast, and I um, and it's so sad that I didn't go to seek help. Ideally, that's what one should do. If that's the kind of things that are happening in your life, you're feeling unhappy, you feel that you're not able to pull yourself out, or you're leading a dual life where you're happy just for the world, but internally when you're alone, you're all sad. I feel this requires help. So I was in such a space that I did not acknowledge the sadness, and hence I don't even know if I can term it depression. But if I search and if I've read so much about it, the symptoms that I had were of depression. But because I did not seek doctor's help, I can't clearly define that that's what I had. But I knew that the sadness was consuming me. It was consuming me on a daily basis, and with so many years it had become so strong that I had very clear dual role to play in life. So I wanted to sound, very happy and victorious in front of my kids. So I used to wanted to be this perfect role model. And as soon as they would sleep, I would cry and cry for hours and hours. And I thought this is the normal. But if you and me, we know crying for 2 minutes also it hurts your jaw. Here, crying for 5, 6 hours, it's not normal. So that's when I was going deep down, and that's when I came across this wonderful philosophy that told me that, again, like I said, that statement was a shocker for me to know that I'm born to be happy, because I just thought, I'm just, my life is just going to go by. I never knew that I am this active participant in my life. And I feel a lot of us are delusional about it. We don't acknowledge that we are so powerful that we can turn things around. And being an active participant in your own drama of life is so significant to know. So I was very powerless before. I thought कि मेरी life तो बस चल रही है, गुजर रही है, जैसे हवा आ रही है वैसे चल रही है, and I'm just a bystander. This philosophy changed that thinking, that perspective. And so the more I grew in practice, the more I was able to deal with these tendencies. And then I realized that it's not because I had placed my unhappiness on some unaccomplished goals. But if you see, even if you get those goals, you are an unhappy person. You will find more reasons to be unhappy about. You will always have reasons to feel unhappy about. You need to figure out a consistent life state. So any philosophy that helps you center you, that becomes a center point, and your oscillations between high and low life state, they reduce. I think that's one philosophy that one should really go for. Yeah.
Wow, beautifully said. I think we all, I don't know, somewhere, some part of the book, I think we all have connected. We all have been discussing on a book club group, and we all felt that there's something of us in the book. That is amazing. I can't take up more time because I know people are there with lots of questions to ask. So I want everybody to have their share of chance to ask questions.
Sure.
Thank you, Tyra.
Fantastic. I know. I think one of the first questions that's coming in, and it's coming in from our audience. I know when you said you talked about cancer, you talked so openly about it was because you wanted to remove the taboo that why was. What was it that made you write such a beautiful book? And then, Tina, we will take you next. So people are saying, what drove you to write such a beautiful book?
Yeah, so sweet. Thank you so much. I think it really comes from a place of honesty. And I really intend to have that honest space forever. I want to cherish that. And being honest really is very liberating. It's very, very liberating. And as women, I feel a part of, no matter how progressive we are and what lovely education we have got, we are a part of a patriarchal setup, and subliminally we are subjected to that. To find your voice, to say things that you like doing, it is so liberating. And it's a basic right. We deny ourselves of that right. And I have tried to exercise that right in my book. And I feel that's why we all can connect.
So nice, so nice. Tina, go ahead. I know you've said often that she's your twin. Go ahead.
Hi, Tahira. I
Hi.
somewhere feel that you're my twin from Kumbh Ka Mela kahin bichhad gaye, because I identified with so many things, from obsessing over being flat-chested, obsessing over my weight, having IBS, being intolerant to so many kinds of food, having family in Chandigarh. I
Oh,
can go
wow.
on and on and
Oh,
on.
wow. Yes.
So, and you have answered my question, which I had from you. So, from saying that you were somebody who was never that honest, to coming to, this extreme of being this candid and this honest, how did this journey come about? I want to know that. And did you feel that, after you wrote the book in hindsight, did you feel that you probably were too honest? Did your family or friends ever give you that feedback
Yeah,
that maybe you shouldn't have been that candid?
so my father hasn't gone past the second chapter. He's like, I don't want to know about all your episodes and all of that. So he hasn't gone past the second chapter. My mother had a blast, but then she was like, Acha, this is what you were doing. We never knew. So a lot of things I haven't told them. My college life, they actually came to know through the book only. So yeah, like, that's why I said my family members get palpitations whenever I take to writing now. So it's like, I don't know who all is Punjabi out here, but my parents, my mother's constantly saying, ki, hun ki likhta, like, so she's always fretting. So yeah, so and what gave me the impetus to be very honest in my writing was, like I said a little while before, that I was denying myself of the opportunity to meet myself. I was a very fun loving. I was the goofball of my class, of my group, always. When I grew up, even though I was funny, I was always so conscious कि लोग क्या कहने वाले हैं, क्या होने वाला है. At my height also, that also contributed. You're more conspicuous. I'm 5'8", a little bit above 5'8", so I just felt like a giant, and everybody's looking at me. किसी को पड़ी नहीं थी वैसे, कोई नहीं मुझे देख रहा था. मेरे खुद का ही दिमाग था. So this is fighting your own tendencies and acknowledging that you are not being true to yourself. I think that awareness really comes from uh, beautiful philosophies like the one that I'm following, or whatever techniques or breathing exercises or whatever helps you center. I just feel there's some philosophy, there's some stuff, something deep rooted which should center us, and yeah, so this really helped. And when I started speaking, I was like, ye to bahut sahi hai yaar. I'm going to talk about, I'm going to abuse, I'm going to swear, I'm going to do all what I like doing. And I found it very liberating. Yeah. And yeah.
Awesome. Well, you definitely did swear. Like I said, I've never said lag gayi in public, so this is my first one too.
Oh, you just did said lag gayi.
Yes,
You didn't
first
say
time.
what part. Should I say it for you?
Yes, please do.
No. So they're kids too, yeah. But sorry. Yeah, one should not swear, but it's okay to swear. I mean,
Next question from Rama. Rama, go ahead.
Hi, Tahira. Wonderful to read your book, and being so honest and candid, it's really good. I have a question. The question is, in the book, you have stated that writing was just a time pass. Having written 3 books, still, do you think still the same? For somewhere you mentioned theater and writing is what you like to do most.
no, honestly speaking, it was never time pass in the sense that's what I thought. But if you see, I chose to write. I chose to write instead of picking up my phone on someone. I chose to write instead of engaging in a dialogue. I chose to write instead of just doing other things. I chose something over a whole lot of other things. And this was my life's calling always, but I chose to ignore it too. And which is why the unhappiness was also creeping in, because I was not getting connected to something that I enjoyed doing. Just because I thought maybe it's too late to start, or maybe this probably can't be my career option. So I think that the disconnect was what was adding unhappiness, and it definitely is not time pass. It's everything to me. Writing is everything, and everything that I've taken to, whether that's theater, whether that's filmmaking, whether that's a podcast, whatever mediums I have engaged in, writing has been the biggest part. I have written all the scripts, I have written all the screenplays, I have written the book, and so I chose to ignore this, which is so sad. And But that's fine. That has been my journey. There are a lot of people who actually know what they want to do, and there are a lot of people like me who, by virtue of elimination, अरे ये नहीं करना, ये नहीं करना, ये नहीं करना, कर करा के ढूंढ ही लेते हैं. So I think we need to cherish our journeys. Uh, uh, as far as we find what we want to do, it's very important for each one of us to have some sort of passion, some sort of mission. It's very, very important. Whether you're a professional or a homemaker, whatever, it's very important to have your own individual goal. So yeah.
So picking up from that, Neha has also asked a question and she sent it in. Is it okay to restart your career in the 30s? And any tips from that? And after this, we'll take the next question from Damini and then Mukti after that.
Of course, I mean to say, this time limit and these age numbers they're just numbers, and they have been fed into our heads by people, and people are not perfect. And so you are also a person who can redefine things that have been defined by other people. So I too was struggling with that. In fact, in my I just made a couple of films, like the short films, in the last 4 5 years. And today I'm 37. 37, no? 37. So so 33 is, or 32 is when I started making. And I was teaching filmmaking. I was teaching mass media research. I was teaching radio journalism to my students. And so I was really scared कि यार मेरे students भी वो same चीज बना रहे हैं जो मैं बना रही हूँ अब. Like, how about the comparison? What will they think again? These are all obstacles that you create for yourself. किसी को वैसे genuinely पढ़ी नहीं हुई है, सब अपना अपना कर रहे हैं, आप भी अपना करो. And the thing is, you need to be happy. I need to be happy. And I knew writing and making films is something that will give me happiness. And so I started doing that. It was a big career shift. I was into a corporate job before that. After that, I was teaching. Uh, I think we all should really listen to what we want to do, and there is no age to that.
Perfect. What a great answer. Mukti, go ahead. And then Damini, sorry. Go ahead, Mukti.
Hi, thank you so much. It's so nice to get connected with you, and I just totally love this concept of honesty, which I also follow. Now, the thing is, after you kind of took plunge into being completely honest and candid, how has been the reaction of the men around you? Has the equation, yeah, has the equation changed in any way?
No, no, no. The men in my life are very happy and are proud. But like I said, yes, there are a few palpitations going here and there. So, but that's the beautiful part. I feel each one of us need to have that environment, and need to, if not have, then create that environment for ourselves where we are encouraged and we have a choice to voice our opinion. And it doesn't need to sort of always be in sync with the men in the family or men in the environment. It's always good to have different opinions. That's how one grows. But it doesn't mean that you change your path just because somebody else doesn't believe in you. So yeah.
Wow, nice. Next question from Damini. Damini, go ahead.
Yeah, hi, ma'am. You've spoken about your writing and your, filmmaking and everything. We are very curious to know what's next, what's coming from you next. When can we expect your next book? What are you working on something right now? We really would love to know that.
Okay, thanks, Damini. Yeah, I think my way of talking about anything is by writing, and I like the visual medium too. So yes, there are a lot of projects that I'm working on. I just completed a small project, but um, I can only talk about it once the platform allows. So yeah, there are a lot of projects that I am working on, and there should be more stuff coming from me. Wish me luck.
Now we'll take the last question from Sween. Sween, go ahead. I'm just asking you to unmute.
Hello. Can you hear? Yeah. Thank you so much, Tahira. It was nice to see you on my personal screen, as I've always read about you on social media. And it was very great to listen about your story of this cancer from Ayushman's point of view. So once I read it on social media, and really it was heart-touching. And congratulations, you are such a brave girl and you have inspired so many people around you. My question is, like, as you said, otherwise Mukti ma'am has already asked that question, but it is not about men only. What I have experienced as an empowered woman, and I have getting all the support from my family and my subordinates and my husband, when we raise our voice against something. We inspire and encourage so many women around us. But what I have felt, like sometimes they feel more bad about it when their situations and circumstances, they don't support them, and they are not able to do whatever we are doing. To feel as liberating and honest and outspoken, and to raise our voice and to exercise our rights. So have you felt like this sometimes? Because
Sorry, the last part of the question, have you felt like that? That sometimes when you are outspoken, that it sometimes may go against you?
Yeah, I mean, not always things are going to go your way. There are always going to be people who will voice, who will probably be in support of your opinions, and then there are going to be a lot of people who might not be. Have utmost love and support for those people who share your opinion, and more gratitude for those people who oppose, because that's the opposition that leads you to grow in life. If you don't have any opposition, you never tend to grow. So cherish, I think, to cherish whatever obstacles come your way, whether it's in the form of difference of opinion. I think cherish that, value that, learn from that, but that necessarily doesn't mean that you're wrong. I think you need to figure out, have that sort of a wisdom. Sween wants to ask me something else.
True lines.
She wants to ask me. Can you unmute her?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, actually my question was कि जैसे आपने तो ये कोशिश की to inspire others around you, so that they also may raise their voice, so they might be honest. लेकिन कई बार क्या होता है कि those who are still, we are inspiring them, but they are feeling more bad about this, who are not in such situations. That was my question. कि कभी आपको भी ऐसा लगा, like मुझे personally कई बार ऐसा लगा कि so many women or so many people around us, they also want to behave in the same manner, but they are not able to, and they feel more frustrated and more like inferior in that case.
No, so I think, Sween, I think this is all got to do with our own personality and our own way of thinking about things. जिस दिन अच्छा लाइफ स्टेट होता है, तो उस दिन किसी की कोई बात उतनी चुभती भी नहीं है. जिस दिन खुद का लाइफ स्टेट बुरा या लो होता है, उस दिन छोटी सी छोटी बात पहाड़ जैसी लगती है. So your external environment is a reflection of how you feel. So there are days when you probably see a lot of traffic lights, all red. कोई पुलिस वाला भी आपको रोक रहा है, चलान भी कट गया, कुत्ता भी पीछे पड़ गया, साइकिलिस्ट भी आके आगे गिर गया. That's all. Your external environment is a reflection of what the chaos which is going inside. You manifest, you create your environment. And so I feel each one of us are different. Yeah, जिस दिन हम इस चीज को पल्ले बांध लेंगे बात ना कि we all are unique and we need to celebrate that individuality. क्या फायदा होगा कि अगर हम सब इतने लोग इस वक्त, we are 88 of us, if 88 of us are exactly the same, I mean, so life will be so dull. I think we need to cherish our individuality. Once we do that, and have confidence in our own self, we don't need to ape. Of course, getting inspired is something. You're inspired and then you want to do your own bit. It doesn't mean you follow the same path or do exactly the same things. You get inspired to figure out your own path. Take that energy that this woman has really, or this man has really achieved. I want to achieve something for myself too, and that's your own path. But as far as getting frustrated is concerned, as far as feeling defeated and dejected is concerned, I feel it's more of an internal battle than external. You will always have people or things around you which might pull you down. It's your perspective, So, yeah.
Well said. Well said. Well, my last question, any last revelations? And then I will hand it back to Meeta, who's got the last question, and to say a word of thanks.
So, Tahira, you talked about pent-up emotions and it took cancer of me. So, we all have, we all try to be perfect. We all try to do so many things. I've heard this before, that any kind of a mental stress, too much of emotion, stress, it kind of leads to cancer of different part of the body. And you somewhere reflected on it. Do you feel? Yeah.
Yeah. No, that would not be right of me to say that, negative emotions or pent-up emotions always do lead to cancer. If any doctor listens to me, they'll probably, kill me ki kya bakwas boli ja rahi hai. Medically, it's not proven. But because I really believe in the karma of cause and effect, and the theory of cause and effect, and the theory of, because everything by the end of it is a consequence of cause and effect. Whether it's you see, and there's a rhythm to it. Whether you see a day turning into night, seasons, winter turning into spring, summer, or even in your own body, there's a rhythm as to how you breathe and how your heart beats. So everything has a rhythm, and that rhythm is also cause and effect. So if you are going to make causes which are at the very thought level all about going to be self-destructive thoughts, or they're going to be about complaining and begrudging and always questioning life, why me, why, being the victim always, these are the causes that are not going to go unregistered. So you are going to get the effects, whether that's the effect is in the form of a sour relationship, or the effect is in the form of financial problem or health problem. It manifests in some form or the other. And just like how good causes or good thoughts also manifest in a most positive way. So I would not say it actually, this is what led to it. But I was convinced that, it's because of the causes that I have created in the past, which is why I can't blame anyone. I can't say, yaar, mere saath kyun hua? Bhagwan, tumne aisa kya kiya? Since everything is based on cause and effect, so this is what I have created for myself in the past. So if you really want to know what kind of what kind of causes you've created in the past, look at the present where you are. And if you really want to know what kind of future you would want to hold, think about the causes that you're making in the present. I clearly created some bad causes for myself. And so I feel the repercussions of it was in the form of a health karma. But I also feel there was a lot of protection, because then I went in for an early breast cancer detection. And I also feel, which is also one point that I really reiterated time and again, and took to various social media to spread the awareness of early breast cancer detection, to be really aware of your body, to be really aware of where your body is heading, or there's any change. Please don't ignore it. So yeah, I think मैंने सब कुछ ही एक बारी में बोल दिया, but जो भी आपको question था, I think आपको answer मिल गया.
You answered it very, very well, and I somewhere the thought is there that anytime just be aware of your thoughts. That is my takeaway from you.
Absolutely. No, very true. Very true. So causes is thought, word, and action. So, even at times we always have few people in an environment or probably somewhere we don't like. So if that person comes in front of us, itne to civilized hai ki hum khoon nahi kar denge uska. So, okay, on the action level, we controlled ourselves. And then we're also very civilized and very hypocrite also. If the person comes in front of us, we will not, माँ बहन की गालियां नहीं निकाल देंगे हम. So, but at the thought level, we have killed that person 48 times at least. So you have constantly created those causes at the thought level to be aware that, how many thoughts do we get in a day? It's around 80,000 thoughts. So the bad news is, oh gosh, these are the number of times that we can create bad causes. But the good news is that we are getting 80,000 chances to create good causes and good fortune for ourselves. So it's about awareness. So yeah.
Thank God. Every word is a word of wisdom. And that from Tahira, 37. 37 you said?
Yes.
All are like kind of listening to you. So what, some last word to our audience, because everybody is waiting for some takeaways.
Okay, bas kar apna gyan. No, I just want to give you, and I really want I want to give a lot of love to Sukriti. She has been bombarding me with a lot of hearts and claps, and thank you so much, Sukriti, for doing that. And thank you, everyone. Oh, there's another heart. Thank you so much, everyone. It was so lovely to be on this forum with such lovely, lovely women. Thank you for showing me your faces, and all those who couldn't, I can feel your vibe. Lots of love to each one of us. May we cherish our lives, and may we know that our lives are very, very significant. And that's about it.
We could have kept you for longer. We could have kept you for a few more hours. It's just that if you allow us to stay with you.
Yeah, no,
we knew that we were given a timeline. So that's how we were trying to just, because everybody is waiting for some or the other question, but we are sorry that we can't take it all.
Thank you so much. It was lovely. And yeah, so social media, bombard me with the questions. Maybe I'll try to answer them there. Yeah, thank you, Tanya, for the heart, and thank you, everyone. This was such a pleasure.
Thank you for being on
Thoughts. Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you all for joining us today. Lots of exciting more sessions coming up, so please do check them out.